For part C, we need to state the price for each unit of stapler, bottle of ink and document file. So, dia suruh cari harga setiap satu stapler, bottle of ink dengan document file kan? So, kalau kamu perasan, dia merujuk kepada X, Y dengan Z. So, this means that we need to find what is X, what is Y, what is Z. So, the moment you need to find the unknown, which is X, Y, and Z, this means that you need to either use inverse matrix method or Gauss-Jordan elimination. So, kalau kita tengok pada soalan kita, dia tak spesifik pun pada kamu kena guna inverse matrix method ataupun Gauss-Jordan elimination. Selalunya, kalau kamu kena guna inverse matrix method, maksudnya mesti kamu pernah cari inverse matrix, which is A inverse. Okay, so itu kalau dia specify. But this time, there's no specification. Dia tak beritahu pun kamu kena guna inverse matrix ataupun Gauss-Jordan. So, this means that you can use any method that you like. And in this case, I'll be teaching you how to use Gauss-Jordan elimination. And for Gauss-Jordan elimination, the formula is ABX. A, B, and then jauh sikit, I dengan X. So, you start with AB, and then you rearrange it to get IX. So, aim kamu adalah tukar daripada A jadi I. The moment sebelah kiri adalah I. Straightforward, yang sebelah kanan ni adalah matrix X kamu. So, kita akan apply konsep ERO kat sini. Do column by column. Change the diagonal to become 1, that's your first step. And then you change others to become 0. So, kita akan start dengan A, B dulu. Substitute matrix A and B. So, aim kita adalah nak tukar A jadi I. Let's start with the first column. So, always tengok kita punya diagonal dulu. So, diagonal kat sini. And this is our column. So, this is our diagonal. And we need to change it to become 1. So, memandangkan dia dah 1. So, kita dah settle lah untuk diagonal. So, sekarang ni kita tengok others pula. Which is in the second row and the third row. And we need to change others to become 0. So, jangan lupa label R1, R2 dengan R3 untuk memudahkan kamu tahu dekat row mana kamu sedang buat operation. So, let's look at the second row. We need the new R2. So, we need to change 3 to become 0. So, kalau ditukar jadi kosong, kalau ini R2, ini pun R2. And then yang kat belakang ni mesti kita punya diagonal. So, our diagonal is R1. So, what do we put in the middle here? So, we want to change 3 to become 0. So, this means that 3 minus 3 is equal to 0. We're going to put minus 3 here. So, that's how you get the new R2. What about the new R3? We want to change from 3 to become 0. So, kalau kita tukar jadi kosong, kalau kat sini R3, ini pun R3. And then yang kat belakang ni wajib kita punya diagonal. And our diagonal is R1. So, what do we put in the middle here? We want to change from 3 to become 0. So, this means that 3 minus 3 equal to 0. So, we're going to put minus 3 here. So, the only row that remain constant or remain the same is R1. So, salin balik R1. For the new R2, let's use R2 minus 3 R1. So, only look at R2 and R1 only. And let's use calculator. So settle untuk R2 yang baru. So sekarang ni kita buat pula untuk R3 yang baru, gunakan formula yang ni. The new R3 is equal to R3 minus 3R1. So only look at R3 and R1 only. Jangan tengok lagi dah R2. So if you look at our first column, the diagonal is already 1 and the others are already 0. So settle untuk kolom yang pertama, kita masuk pula kolom yang kedua. So look at the diagonal first. This is the diagonal and this is our column. So our diagonal is in row 2 and we need to change it to become 1. Let's recall back. If you want to change from diagonal to become 1, we have two operations. The first one is interchange two rows, and the second one is to multiply that row with non-zero constant. Let's try and see if we can interchange two rows. This operation can only be done if you look at that column and you can see another row with number 1. So, kalau kamu perasan pada row yang pertama ada nombor 1 kan? So, what will happen if you try to interchange row 1 with row 2? And kita akan dapat macam ni. So what happened is that this method is wrong. Okay, kamu kena recall balik kata aim kita adalah kita nak tukar yang sebelah kiri ni, dia jadi identity matrix I. So bila sebelah kiri ni jadi identity matrix I, kamu akan nampak kata untuk row yang pertama, nombor 1 wajib kat sini. Tetapi kalau kamu guna interchange two rows, kamu dapat nombor 1 dekat row yang kedua. Okay. So, kamu tahu kata ini adalah salah. So, this means that we cannot use interchange two row. Okay? So, this is wrong. Therefore, we're going to use multiply one row with non-zero constant. Therefore, in order to get the new R2, we want to change negative 1 to become 1. This means that you need to time R2 with negative 1. So, only R2 changes right now. Therefore, we're just gonna copy down R1 and R3. For the second row, times everything with negative 1. So, let's look at our second column. Our diagonal is already 1. Now we need to change the others to become 0. So we need the new R1 and the new R3. For R1, we need to change from 1 to become 0. So kat sini pun kena letak R1. Kat belakang ni mesti diagonal. Here, the diagonal is R2. So what do we put in the middle here? To get from 1 to become 0, we need 1 minus 1, which is equal to 0. So I'm going to put negative 1 here. What about R3? We want to change negative 2 to become 0. So since this is R3, this is also R3. At the back here, you need to put your diagonal, which is R2. So what do we put in the middle here? From negative 2 to become 0, we need negative 2 plus 2 equal to 0. So put plus 2 here. So only R2 remains the same. So just copy down R2. So find the new R1 using this formula and your calculator. So, settle untuk R1. Kita cari pula untuk R3. Gunakan formula R3 dan juga kalkulator kamu. So that's how you get the new R3. So if you look at our second column, the diagonal is already 1 and the others are already 0. So this means that we're done with the second column. Now we will go into the third column. For the third column, change the diagonal to become 1 first. So the diagonal is here and this is our column. So this is our diagonal and we need to change it to become 1. So we can either use interchange 2 rows or multiply 1 row with non-zero constant. So if you look at our column here, there's no number 1 in this column. So we cannot use interchange 2 rows. Therefore, we need to use multiply 1 row with non-zero constant. So how do we change from 8 to become 1? To get the new R3, this means that you need to get 1 over 8 times R3. So only R3 that changes right now. Therefore, just copy down R1 and R2. So if we look at our third column, the diagonal is already 1. Now we need to change the others to become 0. So this means that we need the new R1 and the new R2. So let's look at R1 first. We need -3 to become 0. So the moment kalau tukar jadi kosong, kalau kat sini R1, ini pun R1. And then kat belakang ni diagonal, which is R3. So, apa yang kita letak kat tengah-tengah ni? So, -3 to become 0, we need -3 plus 3 equal to 0. So, put plus 3 here. What about the new R2? We need 5 to become 0. So, kalau kita tukar jadi kosong, kalau kat sini R2, ini pun R2. Kat belakang ni, kamu kena letak diagonal, which is R3. So, what do we put in the middle here? We need 5 to become 0, therefore we need 5 minus 5 equal to 0. So put minus 5 here. So only R3 that doesn't change. Let's copy down R3 first. Let's find the new R1. For the new R1, we need R1 and R3 only. So jangan tengok lagi R2. So guna calculator. And that's how we get the new R1. What about the new R2? For the new R2, we only need R2 and R3. So, jangan tengok lagi dah R1. Kamu tengok R2 dengan R3 sahaja. And then macam biasa, just guna calculator. And that's how we get the new R2. So, for the third column, our diagonal is 1 and the others are already 0. So, dah habis kita punya column. Kalau korang perasan, yang sebelah kiri ni adalah identity matrix. So, the moment sebelah kiri adalah identity matrix, recall balik Abix, kita start dengan AB, kita dapat IX. So, sebelah kiri dah I, bermaksud yang sebelah kanan adalah X. So, just take out matrix X. So, tengok balik matrix X, what are the unknowns for matrix X? So, matrix X is X, Y and Z. So, final answer tak boleh tinggal macam ni. Take out X, Y and Z. So, recall balik. X, Y and Z are the prices of a stapler, a bottle of ink, and a document file. So, the price of a stapler is RM7, the price of a bottle of ink is RM5, and the price of a document file is RM12. For part D, Fatimah bought 4 staplers. This means that we have 4X, 3 bottles of ink means it is 3Y, and 2 document files means that it is 2Z. So, calculate the total price she has to pay. So, tadi kamu dah cari dah nilai X, Y dengan Z. So, just substitute into 4X plus 3Y plus 2Z. And that is the total price that Fatimah has to pay. Therefore, Fatimah has to pay RM67. So, we have reached the end of Chapter 4, Matrices and System of Linear Equations with 3 Variables. Therefore, I'll see you guys again in the next chapter. Bye-bye!